I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending September the 27th. We had feeder cattle prices firm to $3 higher, coming in after last week's bullish cattle on feed report, but actually most major reporting areas were quoting that the market had reached its full potential later in the week rather than coming in right off the heels of that bullish report and then fading out. But late in the week, your market was at its best. And we've seen these big yearling feeder cattle prices hitting some local highs in different parts of the country, especially in the northern plains, the upper Midwest. But this week, we actually broke the all-time record high feeder cattle market price. And we base that kind of on the benchmark, which is the CME Feeder Cattle Index, which is based on a 750-pound steer. It's actually all the steers from 650 to 849 pounds that are reported by USDA and Federal State Market News Service in the 12-state area, running from Texas and New Mexico all the way up to Montana and the Dakotas, including Missouri and Iowa. But it's a 7-day moving weighted average there. It's and it broke 157.44 was the previous record mark, which was the last week in February in 2012. And we broke that this Tuesday, and then kind of continued to inch towards a 160 later in the week, and able to break that all-time record high price with help from your northern plains, north of I-70, up in Nebraska and the Dakotas, northern Missouri, Iowa, getting into there. We've got declining numbers of true yearling feeder cattle and just outstanding demand for those cattle, with a lot of increased support coming from your farmer feeders as we're getting right into the height of harvest right now. Just a lot of the guys just barely got started on their corn harvest and then decided that their beans were ready, so they went and changed heads and went to the beans and probably stay on those till they get done, and then move back to the corn and hope that the moisture levels have drawn back on that. But that's a big deal. All-time record high feeder cattle market was crossed this week. Now your calf market steady to $5 higher. And it was significant because your southeastern markets, calf markets, turned back on the positive side this week, and they'd been lower for the last few weeks there because there were just fewer orders coming in to go back west as your winter wheat guys are really busy planting that wheat, and now some of them are starting to get close enough to being done that they're ordering some calves. Some of that irrigated wheat down in the southern plains is starting to come up and look pretty good. They've had enough rain and some more rain to come late this week through the weekend, but your dry land not quite up yet, but the wheat pasture outlook is just outstanding, and we're definitely going to have a lot of demand for those light calves. And your market was higher this week, even though we've got a high influence of those high risk unweaned balling calves, the new crops coming right in. But still, we've got a lot of demand, and it's also trickle down demand from these yearling prices that are so high. And guys, your winter backgrounders in throughout your Midwest and your northern plains, they're starting to get in because we're breaking new ground now, and nobody quite knows where this thing's going to go. What it might sound really high right now, but before too long it doesn't. And actually, your calf market doesn't seem all that high, especially at your sales where they sell most all the yearlings and then have the calves run after. Those calves don't seem all that high after you've seen a load of 700-pound steers bring $1.80 like I did this Wednesday. Your calves seem pretty reasonable, and they're routinely crossing the $2 a pound mark on those lighter weights, and it's not even raising a lot of eyebrows. Your lightweights in the central parts of the United States were quoted $10 higher in a lot of places, and by lightweights I mean from 450 pounds and down, your 3 and light 4 weights, and up to $20 higher in some places on those little peewee calves. In Torrington, Wyoming, on Wednesday, they had 105 head string of 400-pound steers, bring 224, which seems awful high. But if you look at Valentine, Nebraska, on Thursday, they had a load of 900-pound steers, bring 163.50. And then mixed in on your 750 to 800-pound top quality steers, they had over 250 head in that weight range. They averaged 767 pounds at just over 181, with the top price paid in there at 183. So we've just these prices are just unprecedented, and we just really don't know where we're going to go from here. But it's clear that your cattle feeders are starting to make a little money on these cattle now. This week and some last week, we're starting to get a few pins that show a profit. Some of those cattle that really performed, some cattle that got bought worth the money there or found a low spot in the market when they were purchasing them. But we got some cattle starting to make a little money, and a little bit surprising, we saw a lot of push in the fat cattle market this week. Here on Friday, late Friday, the Southern Plains is passing 126, which would be $2 higher if they do end up trading there. But most all your sellers are passing that 126 late Friday. Your dress market in Nebraska is up to $4 higher at $2 dressed, but just trying to catch the board right now. Regional weighted averages this week in the north central states, 800 to 900 pound steer cost you $158.24 compared to $157.02 last week and $142.76 a year ago. Down in the south central states, 700 to 800 pound steer cost you $160.80 compared to $157.37 last week and $144.06 a year ago. Down in the southeast, a 5-weight steer cost you $154.52 compared to $151.81 last week and $142.69 a year ago. That wraps up your feeder and stocker cattle market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. From the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.